Okay. Hi guys. I was given this opportunity. I want to take it because I think it's given the timing of where we are in our 6-week blocks and things like that. I thought, yeah, I'd like to sort of share some of my stuff that I do and how I actually go through my 6-week block in terms of our goal setting and our vision and how I actually then set my specific goal. And I thought I'd share some of that stuff with you guys today. I was going to cast it, but I've got some printouts, so I'll pass them around. And if you want to throw them away, you can do that too. But
Just not right now, Lauren.
not one. So yeah, this is not the non-rip paper. So this stuff here. So what you can see here is this is how I sort of do life. So for me, life sort of centres for me around all of these 3 areas or domains of, if you like. And the ones that I wanted to sort of touch on today are the one that is called health and the one that is called vision. So as you can see, the one that is called health has got everything that we all sort of do in our gym blocks, if you like. So there's the areas of nutrition that we track in our app. There's the areas of our actual workouts that the guys will program for us. So these are really important, and part of that is sleep as well. So I know that I have monitored and track just about everything. I mean, data is like everything. But yeah, tracking sleep, tracking nutrition, tracking your steps, tracking all of that sort of stuff, I find is really helpful for me in terms of what I want to achieve out of, let's say, that 6-week block, what I want to achieve out of why I do training. And so that for me sits in this health space, and that's pretty important. But as you can see in my diagram there are a whole bunch of other segments that all relate and all are really holistic in terms of how I do life. But the other one I wanted to talk about was the one at the top called vision, which is, it's got 3 dot points there, and one is purpose, and one is congruence, and one is goals. Now, if we go back probably, how many blocks have we done now? 4? If I go back to the start, and when the guys were saying, okay, so now we have to set our goals, and you have to be really specific, and you have to do all these things, the thought there is, well, how do I even do that? And it's, I know it's a journey, right? And it certainly has been for me. How do you set a goal and chunk it into elements that are actually achievable? And I guess I'll come back to harking back to the wrap up 2 weeks ago as well. But how do you actually set something that you feel within the 6 weeks that, yep, tick, achieve that, that's good, and now I can actually feel more confident in setting another goal and making it a little bit, not necessarily harder, but something that's a bit of a stretch, rather than I want that thing over there and not reaching it, and then continuing to not reach it and becoming, I guess, frustrated and having the mindset of it's not working. So that's the goal piece. The congruence piece for me is really about just intuitively, does it sit right? Are you still being yourself through the goals you're setting, or are you setting them for yourself, or are you setting your goals for others? So sometimes I think it's a thing that we, and particularly when I see on the board, because I'm in every Saturday, you see some of the goals up there and you think, wow, why haven't I got a goal like that? But the goal that you have is your goal. And I guess the importance there is it is your goal, and it's what you have crafted and what you believe in. And so therefore it's congruent with what you're going to do in that 6-week block, rather than being distracted by what other people are doing. But it's cool to see that, everyone has a goal and that we're all striving to achieve those goals. And the purpose piece is really, well, why are we doing all this anyway? So why are we doing the nutrition, the exercise, the steps? Why are we doing the health component? Why are we doing this whole goal setting component? And for me, as I say, there are other elements in this sort of circle here, and I'm not going to sort of talk about what I think about or do with those today, but it is very, very holistic. So for me, it's the why I do it is to be a better me, and to set a goal or set a task that I can then work to achieve. And then when I achieve it, I can sort of do the self pat on the back, or think, gee, that was cool. I didn't know whether I could do that, but I've slowly worked through these little steps and I've done it, which is really cool. And I, on a personal sort of note, have found that over the last couple of blocks, I've been spending more time being mindful about the setting of the goal. And that's why I say it's really quite timely, because of course, like maybe some of you guys have done the form. I haven't actually submitted my form yet, because it's something that I want to take time with, and it's something that I don't want to rush, because once I hit submit, to me in my head, it's like that's me setting something in place and in motion for the next 6 weeks that I have to, I've got it in my head, and I have to make sure that I am accountable to myself to actually go through that. And I said I'd sort of hark back on the aspect of the wrap-up a couple of weeks ago, and what struck me was the guys were talking about, and I'll paraphrase, but failure is actually not a bad thing, right? So it's around making sure that you set your goals, but knowing that, hey, if you don't get to that goal in this 6-week block or what have you, that's not a bad thing. That just means it's an opportunity to reflect on what that was, and maybe how could you have made that a more achievable goal, or okay, how do you reword that goal? And it creates questions, and it creates opportunity, I think, to reword how we set our mind for a 6-week block. So the other thing I wanted to send around, well, it was going to cast once again, but I'll send these around too. Have a little look at that. It's a little diagram for those on the camera, and I'll actually make this available, and it can be, but the two areas here for me are, if you look at the area around vision and goals, and it's really the clarifying why you want to set a goal. What are your priorities? And really that links back to that purpose and congruence. So when I first set goals for 4 blocks away, go, it was something that was like, bang, 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 submit. And then 1, what did I write? 2, how relevant was it? And 3, did I really mean what I wrote? And was it something that I felt a connection with? And by virtue of asking those questions to myself, it meant that, guys, I think I need to review my goals. So I set up, I think it was a couple of blocks in, setting up a 3-week sort of mark to myself to say, 3 weeks in, I'm going to have a self-check. How have I gone? What have I done? And is it still working? Is it still relevant? Do I still want to do those things? And then move on from that point and adjust accordingly. And indeed, in the last block, because everyone loves a spreadsheet, I had a spreadsheet, and I had my main goals and what a baseline was right now, and then what I wanted to do in 3 weeks, and what I wanted to look like in 6 weeks, and then just tracked it and had those. And it's really quite interesting, because I found it was like that hesitation of, I know here's the day of the 3rd week, and I'm going to do the readings, or I'm going to provide the information in. What's it going to be like? It's a shared spreadsheet, so it's the accountability is as soon as I write it in, it's there. And that was really quite like, okay, here's the number. What did I say I do? What did I do? And that's this, what if it's not right? And if it's not right, well, that's my sense is that it's not what I said it would be, or it is what I said it will be. But it means that what do I have to do to actually pivot and change and make things different? Are there things I can do? So for me, it was around creating that top piece there, that mindset for success, and making sure that I know what my goal is. And for me, I had to write it down because I sort of have so much in my head that all things drip out everywhere. But I had to write that down, and then it was visible. And it's like I'm making myself more accountable to myself and to my goal. And I thought that was really cool. I found it cool because it worked. So in this last 6-week block, I was really happy to see that the progress that I had made and the goals that I had set, I had met those goals, and that was good. It's a good feeling, yeah. It's also a good feeling to think, well, okay, you did that. What else can you do? What's next? That was achievable. So how do you then lift the bar that little bit higher to maybe have a goal that is that little bit of a stretch, which might seem scary right now and a bit sort of like, I don't know if I'm going to do it, but if I put it there, then I think what it does is that in your, the unconscious mind is awesome, isn't it? And I think that it does set that sort of scene for how do I get to that goal? Don't think about it so much, and it actually emerges as you're doing the work that you do, and as you're doing your, if it's steps, if it's whatever it is. And I think that it really works well, and it did for me. But yeah, I just wanted to share that certainly over the last 6 weeks, I found that the setting of goals using these sorts of areas around, is it a purpose? What's the congruence? Do I feel like it connects? And have I got some clear and succinct goals that are measurable? Because the guys will talk about SMART goals, and I'm sure you all know about those, but it's easy to say, and it's not always easy to actually just think and do that and write something in your head or on paper or on the form that is a SMART goal, that is measurable. And that's, for me, that's why I used a spreadsheet, because then I could make it actually quite literally measurable, and put in some numbers, and then see how I went with those. But please have a look at this, and I thought I would share it with you because this is what I use in my sort of everyday life of setting goals and the vision that I would set. And as you can see here, there's other elements that you might want to read and ask questions about later on or whatever, but around the brain, and so there's a little bit tiny slither of neuroscience in there, but basically it's around how we structure ourselves and our mindset as we launch into our goal setting and achieving our goals. I might stop there, I think, because 1, the food is arriving, and 2, I might sound like Corey if I talk too much long.